Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So I asked a question about the difference between Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, the two attributes of mercy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the specific question I asked was, which is a greater mercy? So this question was actually ambiguous, because what did I mean by greater? Did I mean it was more encompassing of all of creation? Or that it was greater in terms of its manifestation? Or both? So the response would depend on how you understood greater. Now what I will be trying to show with many proofs, and I'll be using the Quran first and foremost, and I'll be using sound hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and I'll be using also the Arabic language. When we speak of Ar-Rahman, there's actually a surah called Surah Ar-Rahman. And the first ayah of the surah is Ar-Rahman. So actually it's one ayah, and you won't find another ism of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on its own as a single ayah or a single verse in the Quran. And this is one of the points, that Ar-Rahman is an ism, Ar-Rahman. You won't find it being used as a sifa, as an attribute. It doesn't occur in the indefinite form. But for example, Rahim, in many instances, we find it in the indefinite form. So for example, Inna Allah kana ghafuran rahiman. It's also used in the ism form as well. Wa huwa al-ghafur rahim. It's mentioned as a name as well. But it's also used as a sifa. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about his manifestation of his rahmah, he uses Rahim. Now there is an ayah that will take us down a particular understanding of the word Rahim. This is in Surah Al-Hajj, Surah 22. See you not that Allah has subjugated to you all that is on the earth? So it's speaking generally here to all mankind. And the ships that sail through the sea by his command. He withholds the sky falling down on the earth. Now, an interesting point about this is the atmosphere above us is holding everything in place. Without the atmosphere, everything would fall down. So this is actually protection for us, the atmosphere. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this ayah, he says that he has stopped this happening. Now he's not doing this. He's not causing chaos on the earth. He's making everything subjugated to us. Alam tara anna Allah sakhara lakum, that he has subjugated to you what is on the earth. This is from his mercy to all mankind. And what does he say? Inna Allah. So this is speaking, he's talking about here the blessings on human beings. We're the ones reading the Quran, obviously. But what does he say? He says, Inna Allah bin nasi la ra'ufun rahim. That he is, in respect to people, he is the most kind and tender and the most merciful. So the word used is Ra'ufun Rahim. So the sifa of Rahim is used to all mankind. That's one point, is that Rahim, because some people were under the impression that Rahim was specifically to the believers on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And this does not fit in with that opinion. But which one is greater? That's the question. Which one is greater? And the opinion that I will share, inshallah, is that Rahman is greater, because it's linked very closely to the name Allah. As an example, in the Quran, we read, say, call upon Allah or call upon Ar-Rahman. أَيًّا مَا تَدْعُوا فَلَهُ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى. Whichever name you use, to him belong the most beautiful names. And we'll find many places actually in the Quran that you can only use those two names. There's no other names that are used. I'll give you some examples, inshallah. When Allah says, for example, in the Quran, وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا. They say that Allah has taken a son. So this is condemning them for this statement that they're making. But there's another ayah as well. وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَلَدًا. That the Rahman, they say that Ar-Rahman has taken a son. We also have, for example, the term dhikrillah or dhikrullah, the remembrance of Allah. That's mentioned many times in the Quran. أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Dhikrillah. But we also have وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ. He who is heedless and turns away from the dhikr, the remembrance of Ar-Rahman. That Rahman actually carries something great with that name. Another example, when Allah talks about the greatest honor for a believer, what's the greatest title that He's given a believer? Ibadullah, the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions وَعِبَادُ Rahman, the servants of Ar-Rahman. So those true believers are servants of Ar-Rahman. So there are no two other names used except Allah and Ar-Rahman when it comes to being servants. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the hereafter, He uses Ar-Rahman. Nobody will speak, will utter anything except by the permission of Ar-Rahman. And I do encourage you to go and see for yourself the way Rahman is used and the way Rahim is used. Interestingly, the only two sifat that are used together, talking about the same sifat, is Rahman and Rahim. We do have, for example, Ghafur and Ghaffar, but they're not used together in any ayah. They're used separately. Each one has its own different nuances. Like Ghafur is talking about how great His forgiveness is. Ghaffar is talking about how many times He does the forgiveness. He just does it over and over and over again. So there's the difference between there. But with Rahman and Rahim, they're used together. And each of the surah start with this basmalah. Now, an interesting point about this is we're saying, well, okay, you're saying that Rahman is greater. But somebody might come and say, but the pattern it's on is a sifa pattern. It's on the pattern of fa'alan, which scholars say is used for attributes that are intense but short-lived. So, for example, we have ghadban, somebody who is intensely angry. We have intense states like jaw'an, atshan, hungry, thirsty. These are intense states. While the argument is that Rahim denotes a permanent state. Shouldn't that denote a greater mercy? Now that's a good argument. But as a counter argument, what I would say is that Rahman is not used as a sifa. So Rasulullah ﷺ mentions a hadith Qudsi. Hadith Qudsi is a hadith where he says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually says. He says, Ana Allah, I am Allah, wa ana ar-Rahman. Notice the name Rahman. And I am ar-Rahman. Khalaqtu ar-Rahim. And I created the womb. So the womb of the mother. And this is the manifestation of mercy in this world, is the mother to her child. So he says that I created this, the Rahim. وَشَقَقْتُ لَهَا إِسْمًا مِنْ إِسْمِي. And I have derived its name from my name. So in actual fact, it's the original word where Rahmah, where Rahim, the verb Rahima, is derived from. Everything is derived back from Allah's ism, Ar-Rahman. And in linguistics, the Alif Noon also denotes hyperbole. So actually, Rahman has more hyperbole, has more intensity than Rahim. And Rahim can be used for anybody. For example, in the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ is described as بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَؤُوفُ Rahim. That he is with believers, he is tender, and he's merciful. And we can use this sifa for anybody, Rahim. We could call somebody Rahim. There's no problem with this. But we wouldn't say he's Rahman. This is not a usage for somebody else, except Allah. And he uses his name, Ar-Rahman. It's like a name that was specifically kept for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his mercy. And there is a hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaks about mercy being divided into 100 parts, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept 99 parts for the Day of Judgment, and he only sent down one part. The hadith uses the word juz'. He said one juz' down, and he kept 99 for himself. What name did Allah use for Yawm al-Qiyamah? Ar-Rahman. So there are aspects of Ar-Rahman that we have not experienced yet. We've only experienced just one part. There will be 99 parts of mercy. So this is the greatness of Allah's mercy. And so next time we read the Quran, we come across Rahman or Rahim, we understand this. Rahman is the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even the ending of Surah Ar-Rahman, it starts off Ar-Rahman. How does it end? Tabarak ismu rabbika dhil jalali wal ikram. Blessed be the name of your Lord, the possessor of majesty and honor. So this name Ar-Rahman, it's a great name. And we're told specifically to make dua using his name, this name, Ar-Rahman. Specifically this name. All names, but specifically Ar-Rahman. Ud'u Allah, or Ud'u Ar-Rahman. Call upon Ar-Rahman. So that's a linguistic discussion there about Rahman and Rahim. Now, if you look at the Basmala at the end, the Basmala, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now we know that here Allah is Majroor, Ismillah, and Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. They follow. Now they both follow Lafz al-Jalala, Allah. How do we justify the kasra? There's two ways. Either badal or sifa. Now you've probably guessed it, Ar-Rahman is an ism. It cannot be a sifa, so it has to be badal. Ar-Rahim, he has Al-Rahim. This is a name. So this is also badal. And interestingly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used two names for his mercy, which shows that the greatest sifa he has from all the sifat is his mercy. Okay, so that completes the lesson. Please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.